Ram Krishna Hari. Today's question is why Veda says unless you get rid of the material bliss, it is impossible to enjoy the spiritual bliss. And there are a number of nice answers. I got it. First, I try to list it out. First question is what is the definition for the material bliss and what is the definition for the spiritual bliss? If we are able to understand it, automatically we can able to understand that why the Veda is strongly insisting to get rid of this material bliss to really wanted to enjoy the spiritual bliss. Okay, what is material bliss? The peoples who have got some kind of likes or dislikes over the materials present in the atmosphere or outside situation. And in some cases, whenever they get what they like, then that time they feel it is called a material bliss. And of course, that is always accompanied with a lot of pain because at times when he get what he dislike, then automatically he suffers a lot. So the material bliss is continuously occupied with the sorrow together. But now comes to the definition for the spiritual bliss. It says that when your mind is completely filled with love, which means that samabhavana. The definition for love is, of course, this samabhavana, which means that there is no something is higher and so no something is lower, or no likes or dislikes in my mind. Because normally if we feel something is superior, we have got likes over it. And if we feel something is inferior, automatically we started disliking it. But actually the spirituality says that nothing is superior, nothing is inferior, everything is equal. And with that feel, if you are able to enjoy it, that we call it as the spiritual bliss. Okay. When the definition says like this, how could it possible to have the material and spiritual bliss together? Because both these things are going in an opposite direction. This material bliss comes only when you feel something is superior and inferior. But the spiritual bliss comes only if you don't feel so and if you feel everything is equal. Such is the case, it is impossible to enjoy both these things together. As long as you feel that the material bliss is required, then you cannot cultivate the spiritual mind. But once you have got the spiritual mind, it is impossible to cultivate the materialistic mind. It's a very nice answer. And one more person has told that when the mind is full of waves, that we call it as the material bliss. When whether it is a sorrow or whether it is a dukkha, I mean happiness, there is too many wave patterns in the mind, which means that I can say that it's not only confusions. Even when the mind is in too much of happiness, it will always in the jumping. It is not cool in the mind. But whereas the spiritual bliss is considered to be always cool in the mind. So therefore, both are extremely opposite again. Agitative mind and standstill mind. How could it can coincide together to have both these blisses together? So therefore, it is not possible. And when we take into the Jnaneswari, what Jnanadeva tried to answer this question, he tell it in the two ways. In one way, he is telling that he never agree there is something called bliss in the material world. There is no such thing as Vishaya Sukha. He always name it as a Vishaya Dukkha. Because in the material world, there is only sorrow is there. If you rely on anything on this world for your happiness, then definitely that is going to yield only sorrow. So when such is the case, according to the Mauli's point of view, that means Jnanadev's point of view, how could the Sukha and Dukkha travel in the same path? According to his viewpoint, the material bliss is named as sorrow, and the spiritual bliss alone is the bliss. How could you combine the sorrow and bliss together? It is impossible. Therefore, Do you want sorrow? Okay, you can live in the material world. If you really want a bliss, then you cannot stay in this material world. You have to come to the spiritual world, which means that spiritual mind, the material mind. So we can say like that. So this is the one way of explanation Mauli Jnanadev has given. There is one more explanation Jnanadev has given. How could it possible to have this spiritual bliss without eliminating your ego, ahankar? See, actually, the definition for the material bliss comes through your ahankar, but the definition for the spiritual bliss, which comes by elimination of the ahankar, which is we call it as an ego. So unless you destroy your ego, it is impossible to develop this spiritual bliss, because again, the definition goes in an opposite way. For the material bliss, you need an ego. For the spiritual bliss, you should destroy the ego. Or else we can say in the other way that the spiritual bliss, when spiritual knowledge tells us that your ego should not confine in a little circle. It should go like, I am all, I am everything. Or in the sense that God is everything. So if you think like this, there is only one which is nothing but a God. There is only one which is me. That circle is very big. But in the material world, your circle is very small. And now, unless you break this circle, how could you go to this big circle? Assume that you are staying in there is a small circle here, and you are standing inside it. And you are enjoying, you are assumed to be enjoying this material bliss, which is so limited. And now you are asking me that, can you not give the spiritual bliss also? I'm telling you, okay, Vedas tells you that you just break that small circle, then you can able to realize that how big you are. No, suddenly you're telling that, no, I don't want to break this small circle of ego, but I want this spiritual bliss, big circle. Okay, assume the God has given to you. Okay, what now God has done? You are inside the small circle, but the God has now put a big circle around you. But what you feel now? Still you are confined within a little circle and you are unable to enjoy this biggest circle because you yourself has get arrested by this small circle. Unless you break it, you cannot enjoy this big circle. You can't even see this big circle around you. This beautiful universe and the beautiful, enormous happiness which is present in this world can be enjoyed unless cannot be enjoyed unless your ego is broken. So even in such case also, how could it possible? So try to think over it. The material bliss and spiritual bliss can never go hand in hand together. And another very nice example. What is it? Yeah. There was a vessel which has been so ugly or filled inside, dirty inside. Okay. And now you are coming me and asking me that I wanted to enjoy the purity. In such case, what the others will say? If you really wanted to enjoy the purity, then first you try to clean this dirty vessel. Whatever the purity which I give it to you, automatically that purity will also become dirt as long as you are dirty. First, clean it yourself, then automatically you can able to enjoy the purity, which we call it as the spiritual bliss. So how could it possible that ugly, if you come with an ugly vessel or dirty vessel, even if I pour a pure amrita in it, that is going to be get contaminated and that is not going to yield any result for you. So therefore, again, think over it that you have to completely get rid of these likes and dislikes and the desire for the material bliss. Only then we can able to enjoy this beautiful spiritual bliss. Otherwise, it is not possible. Actually, I have got a very nice experience that one person who has got a complete spiritual knowledge. But what happened after that? Instead of destroying his ego, he started increasing his ego. When I'm trying to explain him, he is defending me by having this knowledge. No, I'm in a pure love, but God has given all things to me. So we misuse the spiritual knowledge, and we misuse it. Instead of destroying it, we will even increase it. Increase it means which our ego, I'm telling you. So therefore, it is necessary that we should completely eliminate our desires for the material world and material blisses. If you really wanted to have the spiritual bliss or the God bliss, then we should throw it away. Otherwise, it is impossible. This was the answer we discussed today.